They called it a pandemic, I called their fucking bluff. The projections were mere computer models and those figures created the fear. Turns out it was all based on lies and those figures were never real lies. But getting the public's fear to rise with media behind it to advertise, well, that part was an easy exercise. In fact, let's call it what it was, a doddle. All fear and death porn was prioritised and the people became hypnotised to the television screens and mesmerised. Politicians clueless yet mobilised by the fear-mongering politicised. All leaders were now being advised via fake numbers from statisticians who, if we go by the known statistics regards them themselves, then we might easily argue they knew the numbers were dramatised. They'd track histories of models turning out to be overhyped or dangerously fictionalised. Neil Ferguson, getting it wrong for mad cow disease, predicted 50,000 dead when only 117 died. His modelling of swine flu predicted 65,000 UK dead, end toll under 500. On the overnumbering regards foot and mouth disease, the Queen congratulated him with that one with an OBE. An inferno of 6 million cattle formed part of that fee. A decade later, his stats were found in error to be. Yet he still got this modelling job. I think it right to ask the question why. The logic decrees us an answer, his willingness to hype it up being the very reason why. Familiar with the acronym KISS, keep it simple, stupid? When it applies to logic, apply Occam's razor, this. His corona predictions went on to inform not just the UK, but the White House, France, Germany. All of them ill, or was that wittingly advised? Anyone who can bypass media hogwash to get to their own logic to apply will come to one conclusion only. Pass record, prove Neil that guy. And just because he was creator of the model didn't mean it was for him to follow. No, he was caught flouting his own twaddle. While he had all in lockdown at his own forceful crackdown, he was out gallivanting about en route somewhere downtown looking for married shag's playground. The hypocrisy, at least well noted, rules for thee but not for me, or do as I say but not as I do. Yet his lack of fear, totally missed, unnoted, unremarked upon, unfound. Yet for me, far more telling and profound. These guys who set the tone of the threat, watch what they do and not what they say. Behaviour over talk is where truth is always found. Let's take a moment to note, by the way, the number of psychologists employed for their guidance on behavioural sway. We only have to look at the docs from Sage to know that their role was never one of how to downplay. So there we were, some normal life was getting overridden, something bigger was being bidden, the invisible deadly enemy villain, history before our eyes being written. So we bring it to life with what? Here's Neil's sticky black plastic model. Here's one we prepared earlier, full doomsday pre-modelled. Logic and sense already lost in information's battleground, while theatre was made of digging mass burial mounds. As props to the narrative, their effects were profound. All other senses apart from fear were soon drowned. People from their normal life were starting to get polarised. China was being congratulated for reacting way oversized. Another moment I opened up my eyes. Armies globally getting mobilised, police brutality further normalised, cash no longer authorised, heralds soon all becoming digitalised. The people already crowned, spellbound by 24 immediate coverage inbound, fixated on the mysterious lure around death's fear cult and its panic go round. All now caught in false perception for one reason only, their deception, and the belief that one can believe whatever they put before our eyes. Once a thing is accepted as invisible, how to argue then that it doesn't exist? I would say it's nigh impossible. And if this is so, is it possible that this itself could have been strategized? Many ways, though, to have it realized, to bring it to life and to keep it alive. Visual cues that all could recognize, like lines drawn to show the distance at which we ought to socially divide. Masks, was it one? None, or was it now even 5? These visual cues alone keep the narrative alive. I mentioned elsewhere, but it's worth a repeat, what I said previously regards the wearing of masks, is that those who first demanded of us this ask, when they think they're off camera, they unmask. I mean, what greater indicator does one need to know that this is all a farce? Yet more instances of rules for thee, but not for me. Restrictions on all of us while they roam about free. Will not prevent you from Ovid printed on the packaging lid. If you look, they tell us it's not even hid. Legal disclaimers are everywhere, but if you post to make others aware, then a Facebook of jail beware. Mainstream media had hospitals full occupied. Don't overwhelm, stay home, save lives. Yet the people's video media, hashtag empty. Nurses furloughed, reaching only social media. It's a battle of narratives jostling side by side, but it's an unfair fight. They've got TV on their side. Debunking sites to brush inconvenient truths aside, but no one looking deep enough to be able to self-decide if their debunk is working only by what it implies. The role of medics for a short time only glorified. We'll give you pots and pans, but hey, don't expect a pay rise. Yet they still had time to show off their TikTok jive, testing our stupidity, taking it on a test drive, any ridiculous show they wanted to contrive. They all do a nice job of keeping fear in overdrive. Could it be that the greater the cues and props, the greater masking of the secret to hide? If you think my potential thinking on this is way offside, fine, just do me one little favor. Never underestimate the job of visual cues applied to have things come to perceptual life to be realized. The rules themselves are always there to remind, like how many hours allowed for outside and which activities are legit for getting sunshine. Exercise okay, but simply hanging out denied. If selling a house, we could invite anyone inside. But any other, a mother, sister, friend or brother, for any other reason, no way, no such alibi. So many contradictions to continually pass by. How can so much doublethink for truth still qualify? It just doesn't, it can't. Logic itself decrees such wanton contradiction can only conclusively lead us to lies. And consider this even by keeping open middle eye, that one can't put it past them, that even that the scarcity of toilet roll wasn't even calculated and designed. Yep, the more you know, the more you find, that even down to the minutiae they orchestrate, manipulate and mastermind. I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying it might. I hear annoyed mocking shouts of how and why. How? All it would take would be to announce it. Broadcast it wide and have it televised. And before we can say Andrex or Cottonelle, assume scarcity is creating a panic buy, pushing fear and me up on the rise. Someone leaning us over in the supermarket, grabbing for toilet roll, reaching from behind, grasping at that to which you all felt deprived. Fear of the other, anyone could make me die. Stay the fuck away from me. Mentally arrived. All these reactions are useful to those guys. So here we now have a why, and a rational and reasoned why. If this was a scam, then argue me the above otherwise. The clue itself is in the word scarcity. It doesn't matter for the end game if such rules, action or panic are contrived. As means to the end, they are symbolic. Such hyperbole is experienced as chaotic and will send anxieties into hyperdrive. Remember, strategy of tension is the means by which they thrive. So to maintain position and survival, they manufacture situations to have such tensions arrive. To create and manifest fear and panic, to have these emotions come alive. Edward Bernay's strategy and drive, as in earlier chapters described. In short, they play with us, they connive. It's how they make us pliable and to their end want viable. Problem, reaction, solution, their ever means of execution. Suspend one's belief for just a second and at least notice that tension, if externally driven, is the same as if it were wholly natural and fluid. Origin matters not, as once the fear has arrived, effect, whether fake or real, goes on automatic drive. Regards reaction to the perception that it has, the Rona, now Ovid, is as good as arrived. So for now, to end part one of this two-part serialize, let's give note to the most genius of their lies. That carriers could be asymptomatic. Feeling fine in perfect health, no longer any way to characterize. Carrier or benign, no one now safe to decide this line. This created a situation where all are open to be demonized and where not one soul is free from being stigmatized. Divide and conquer, now even among the closest of allies. Family members, out of love for one another, now polarized, disenfranchised, and ostracized. The perfect enemy, maximized, capitalized, full, propagandized.
you.